Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time right here, the Adapt 2030 channel. 200 years global gold production, uses of silver, global demand. Can we meet it? Bank mergers, tokenized. Largest bank failures. Tally one more. All-time record consumer loads and credit cards. This is the habitation of the future. Ukraine angry because nobody will take their discounted grains. Turkey announcing tariff protections. You knew this was coming. All the while, dancing cloud tops, a new name, a crown halo. You have to explain away the changes in the heavens that people are seeing with their own eyes. Hey, I'm going to start you off with a moment of zen. Clouds can be clouds, so peaceful. Can we get tranquil waters of the mind as we offer positive thinking for today's episode? As we delve into higher food prices, you're going to have to protect yourself and your families. This week, Bulgaria, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovakia have banned any imports of Ukrainian grains. They claim dumping, as in way sub-market pricing going in. What's happened is their own domestic farmers are now having a very difficult time trying to make a living. But of course, the ping pong ball flies back in the other side of the table. Ukraine condemns EU and Poland over trade restrictions, protesting to the EU. Hey, you have to let us dump your grain and put our local farmers out of business, you must. And highlighted in blue, these countries unilaterally banned the import of agricultural products from Ukraine, again, to protect their domestic markets in opposition with the EU. So this is an ongoing event here. I wonder how it will pan out. Will the EU demand that there's no unilateral actions on this one? I'm not sure. We will find out very soon as Turkey announces 130% tariff on grain imports. Again, they're trying to protect their own farmers from this slew, this Himalayan-sized mountain of grains piling up that cannot be exported except for very, very regional markets around the Black Sea. 130%. So if you're going to send in $1 worth of product, it's actually going to cost $2.30 with the new tariffs. Now, April 19th, Federal Employees Canada on strike, agri-foods. This is going to ripple through for a while. They're still in negotiation. And one thing is angering Canadian grain commissions using third-party labs. They should be doing the testing themselves. So the terminals for export are bogged down. And as this winds up, which it will, there's still going to be some ripple effect. Now, it's not at max grain export now, but everywhere you look, it's a tremendous amount of cavitation in the food world. Speaking of which, sugar prices popped to 11-year highs. Experts warn costs could rise further due to forecasts of bad weather. Well, I actually know a couple people on the ground that said to me, nope, sugar is such a low-ball item for pricing that they're taking some of those same fields and converting them over to higher export grain prices like sorghum, etc. So there's a crop switch at the moment. Weather, yeah, it could have some driving factor. The enormous amount of rain coming down across the equatorial regions due to the Hunga Tonga eruption back in 2022. Purple literally off the charts, so we don't know if it's going up to 1,000 or 1,200 millimeters, and unknown right in the sugar growing regions. So if we do look at sugar, say since September of 2022, yeah, there's definitely an upward trend, and we look at it. But overall, if you go back to 2011, the all-time highs, and we're getting to the third all-time highest prices for sugar. Now with currency debasement, etc., will that continue higher? I would say yes, just guessing. The 2023 financial crisis has begun. According to Bloomberg, the missing catalyst is here, with gold now forecast to surpass $3,000 an ounce as a worst-case scenario. The economic hurricane J.B. Diamond warned of is here. Call the proud Americans at the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Remember, Patriot Gold Group offers the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver on qualifying rollovers. Call 888-546-7020 to to get your free investor guide today. Keep in mind, Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 6 years in a row. That's 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Seasonal outlook for drought across the U.S. This will take us through July 31st. Main grain growing areas really deep into the drought persists. And the yellows, drought development likely. So we're looking at potatoes up there in Washington and Idaho. And the grain belt itself, so some wheat, it should be affected as we look through Kansas and Oklahoma, these sort of areas down into Texas. Higher prices, we will see. Orange juice at second highest prices ever recorded going back in the records here, 25 years. So everywhere we're looking, it does seem food prices are increasing. Whether you might think that's a global event, daisy chain going out or not, it is going to continue. Now, something is going to amplify and we're going to get a step off here. Is it the sulfur dioxide swinging around the northern part of the planet? Is it the ozone depletion event ongoing and intensifying in the southern part of our world? Will it be another export embargo? Who knows? But just prepare yourself. Something nasty this way comes. And everywhere you look, if you were to go back 2 years and compare it to where we sit today, this is absolutely a very different food priced world and food availability world that we're living in. I would encourage you to compare 2 years ago food pricing when it was right in the middle of, the biggest event that occurred in 100 years, compared even to today, and it's still even higher, more disrupted, less availability. So that trend should continue. That's just my own opinion, though. And you could follow the world event yourself or just look around and see how the world is twisting or turning into a new era. Speaking of which, money makes the world go round in this new era. Consumer Price Index for urban consumers, purchasing power of the dollar. Wait a second, let's take us back to 1913 at $1, far left. We saw a 50% reduction running up into the roaring 20s, taking us into World War II, the bump. And subsequent drop into the 50s. Oh, way over on the right side of the chart. I really can't barely see that above the line, but it's in the 1 or 2 cent category. Consumer loans and credit cards. See, this is the inverse. As that purchasing power continues to decline, your food prices continue to increase. People are moving over to credit cards to pay for a more expensive lifestyle. How long is that going to last? Anybody's guess. Until you can't pay or until they cut off your credit, then you're going to be limited to cash purchases only. Adjust accordingly and get used to paying with cash. And another one that piqued my interest was this debt-to-income ratio, and this is what mortgage lenders are looking at in terms of overall risk in the market. Talk to somebody who's in real estate, and that's about as simple as it gets. The risk analysis of this ratio, 2008, it rocketed up to, say, 41.2, 41. We'll round it off at 41%, but now it's at 43.5%. Trending toward 44%, which means that it's even a riskier environment than even with all that subprime mortgage toxic paper running around in 2008. We've eclipsed that. We are definitely into la-la land. So let me introduce to you the new habitation zones in our fenced-off world. Has everything you need. You got a tennis court, you got a football court there. You can run around. There's a nice little track around the facility. Everything you need is right on the periphery. You can get all your foods and your stores are right there, right in that same area. But for me, it looks like a coiling reptile, just saying. But I think I would prefer to be 1900s in Chicago. Such beauty in the architecture. But still, it is absolutely incredible, the feats of engineering that we have gone to. Oh, wait, we can't replicate a lot of this. Sorry. The glass building square stuff, that'll do with metal. We just have to do away with all this brick and thing. I just can't do it anymore. Take a look at largest U.S. bank failures. Check one more. And all these in the last 2 months. We need to add in their Credit Suisse also, but that's not a U.S. bank. And it does seem that this card deck brings us back to real-world events forecast in a game. So where do we sit on top of here? Is that the Chinese yuan with the piranha in the mouth? The big dog? Wait, what's behind it? The megalodon. So what is the megalodon anyway, in your opinion? What do you think that largest predators behind consuming, gobbling the yuan is. US dollar barely down on the chart. That's a minnow. Because it seems the world is nothing more than bricks in the wall. The automation that we are encountering makes humans redundant. The AI and swirling through our business world with lean staffing. Where do we go from here is the question. You're going to have to protect your wealth somehow. And the same thing people have been doing for thousands, plural of years, keeping this barbaric relic. Gold production the last 200 years. California gold rush, way on the left there. South Africa, 1886, also very close in those two times in discoveries. And then South Africa rules the world with gold production. And what's so interesting at the end of the chart there, the rest of the world's really starting to catch up with a lot of these other producers who have shrunken supplies. You know, they've reached peak gold production, just like peak oil production has been reached in some countries. If you do not believe in the abiotic oil theory, we have come to peak in a lot of countries. The same thing, gold production has peaked in many a country. So how many above ground ounces are there? Because silver also, the uses for it are very different. And you know, as it was explained to me, it's micro drip fed into a lot of devices. So the overall price of a device that you're already spending $1,000 on, like an iPhone, there's dollops of silver in there. So it doesn't really change the overall price, but it must be used for industry. And that includes solar panels, devices, every device you can possibly think of, microphones, cameras, TVs. And the list does go on. For everything, literally, there's some sort of precious metal in it. So the demand, again, not much above the ground in comparison to these trillion-dollar industries running away with demand for that product. And with the bank failures ongoing and continuing here, this article from Bloomberg, $521 billion drop in deposits, the most in a decade. So I pulled the chart here for you, 12-month percentage change. Last time we see massive drop-offs, and we're looking at the right side of the chart here for our current era. Last time there was massive drop-offs like that, 1970s, 1940s, right after the war, 1945, and then we find ourselves down into the Roaring 20s and Great Depression era. So we fit into one of those. Now, the size of the drop from, say, 25% reduction, that takes away the 1970s. That doesn't fit. So we're looking somewhere around post-World War II, 1945 to, say, 1950, or 1928 to, say, 1932 or 1933. There's only those two eras that we fit in currently. So you got A, B choice. Now, which one are we going to match is the question. And I guess to sum everything up in 30 seconds is you're going to need to grow your own food. I mean, the way that it looks, everything is going to trend higher, especially the food pricing. Now, if you're going to spend a majority of your earnings on food, then that doesn't leave you much else for keeping your home lit or your natural gas coming, your electric flowing. Imagine if that doubles and triples, you know, price increases slated across the entire planet for any kind of energy consumption. So as we look, it's just it's like an ice block. Just chip a piece away, chip a piece away. And one of the easiest things to do is going to be growing some of your own food. We're coming into planting season right here in the Northern Hemisphere right now. So you have a full, 7 months to practice getting food up. Start with the lettuces immediately. It's right now. Mustard greens, lettuces, these kind of things, spring onions, throw it in the ground, and you're going to start to get results almost immediately. In the next 3 weeks, you'll be eating a salad. Now here's the secret too. You don't have to harvest the entire head. Remember, you can pull leaves as that thing's growing and just leave it as a continuous production system where you're harvesting 20% of the leaves at any one time. And then it just regenerates itself. But if you're going to pull the entire head of lettuce out of the ground, for example, then that's not going to work so well. A solid suggestion for seeds, TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on our planet. Those links are in the description box below, along with the links for tonight's stories, images, graphics, so you can do some of your own research. I wish you the best in your preparations. It's go time for gardening. I'll see you next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.